Leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, and do good. All that good stuff for me, for real. We're just gonna get straight into the meat and potatoes of everything. Give me 1 second to pull out the Harden trade details. All right, so the Clippers got James Harden and PJ Tucker on their roster now in a trade to the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers gave up Nicholas Batum, Markieff Morris, KJ Martin, Mad Picks as well. Obviously, this trade for the Clippers isn't too beneficial. I mean, for the Sixers isn't too beneficial. Sorry, for the Clippers it helps a little bit. I guess the Sixers get wing depth. So with Batum and Keith Morris, or Marcus Morris, sorry, they have two wing players that could play playoff minutes and things of that nature. Still nobody that can really change the dynamic of this team. It's still going to rely a lot on Tyrese Maxey's development and seeing how far he's progressed as a guard in order to see how successful they're going to be. DeAnthony Melton's had a slow start to the season. So with a couple of those assets being there, they might have a couple pieces to play in every now and then. I'm not the biggest fan of the trade for the Clippers either. Though I get that they got better. They got better for sure. I'm just confused as to why James Harden wanted to go to the Clippers of all places. Kawhi and Paul George are very notoriously known for not playing games due to injuries. It's going to be very similar to the situation he had out in Brooklyn where Kyrie and KD just weren't on the court and he's going to be there by himself with PJ Tucker. I don't necessarily know how appealing that is. I forgot to mention Robert Covington was also a part of the trade, by the way, but I don't necessarily know how appealing that is to a player like James Harden who had these problems before with organizations where he felt like there wasn't enough help on the roster. And with the Clippers now gutting half of the help that was on their roster, now it's looking to be kind of sort of the similar situation all over again where Harden's with two superstars. He's the third option probably amongst these guys, but ultimately he's going to have to do a lot more than what he signed up for. And we've seen how he acted last time. I know that this makes the Clippers better, but I don't know how much better it makes them. But that's more so my take on it due to the fact that Kawhi and Paul George don't play like that. I think once those two get on the court on a regular basis with James Harden, we might see something a little bit more interesting and dynamic, because I don't think Harden's played with wing scorers like this before. I mean, except for KD and Kyrie. But there's also no real role threat in Los Angeles for the Clippers, so I don't necessarily know how much I like that side of things either. Zubac can roll to the basket, but he's not athletic enough to make that his bread and butter. Definitely more of get inside, down low, and give me my touches type of player. So it's gonna be an interesting dynamic. PJ Tucker should help, but with the Clippers now cutting wing depth as well, Kawhi and Paul George are gonna have to do more as well. They're also gonna have Westbrook step up on the defensive end. The Clippers right now suck defensively already with those wing players that they just shipped off. They have not been very good defensively this season so far to start. Those been early. They weren't good defensively last year either. However, so it's more or less the same predicament that they were in previously, and I don't know how much Harden helps that. I understand where the logic lies in getting superstars to play together and hope that they mesh well, but you gotta understand your team personnel and the archetypes around it too. And I think Philly basically gutted half of the depth that was on the team. They don't really play Terrence Mann too much, so Terrence Mann has to get into the groove of things. A lot of the younger players that they have right now are just not necessarily ready. I'm not sure how deep this roster goes. And the Western Conference is just too tough this year. It's too tough this year with the acquisitions that all the other teams are making to acquire depth and to get stronger rosters. I just don't see it for the Clippers. I don't see how this helps. But they will win a lot of regular season games now because they have one of the better regular season players. So congrats to the Clippers on pulling this trade off. Yeah, and then as far as Philly goes, Philly's still going to be in the mix to make the playoffs as long as Joel Embiid's there this season. It's just not going to be anything too... Yeah, it's not going to be anything too luxurious for them moving forward as well. A lot of picks were moved, and Danny Green ended up getting waived as a result to get roster space. So Danny Green might get picked up by some team soon. I just don't. Y'all can let me know in the comments, but I'm not really the biggest fan of this trade. Not because nobody gets better. The Clippers get better, but I just don't think it really aids them in what they need to accomplish. We've seen the Westbrook and Harden dynamic already. It can work when Russ is playing away from the ball, but then James has to also kind of be off the ball as well, now that it's Kawhi and Paul George with them. So it's going to be really interesting to see just how the players shape up and mesh together going forward. I don't think this is a championship team still. I think Denver's still better. They can't guard Denver. There's nobody on that court to guard Jokic, and there's nobody out there in the perimeter to hold Jamal Murray for them for real. I know ideally you want Kawhi and Paul George to be those players, but they're older now. I just don't think they have that in them no more. They can maybe get stops here and there, but I don't think they're as dynamic as they used to be on the defensive end. But it's early though. But I just didn't see it too much from them last year either. Where this helps though is Kawhi gets floor spacing. Paul George gets floor spacing. As Harden's one of the more deadlier 3-point shooters in this league when he's catching and shooting. So if Harden's down to play more away from the ball and let Paul George and Kawhi kind of get their games off, which he has been capable of doing it before. We've seen it in Brooklyn, where hypothetically speaking, they could have been a championship contending team. But we're like 3 years removed from it. These guys are like in their mid-30s now. The younger guys are getting better in this association. I just don't see it happening. But we'll see. I don't really mean to hate or anything, but that's kind of where I stand on that opinion. Moving on though, from the